Welcome to Tea Time, the podcast. I am Cassia Marina, fondly known as the Branding Queen, and I am a digital branding expert helping businesses get online and thrive doing so. I am passionate about sharing my knowledge through content creation like this podcast, online classes, and workshops, as well as through the services of my branding agency to help you develop your online systems. Think of this podcast as the place to get the latest advice, strategies, tips, news, and inspiration on building your brand online using the tools available to us, but most importantly, thought-provoking content to improve your mindset, to maximize on these tools and put context to day-to-day developments in the online world of business with a little bit of tea dishing facts and sass, because I really want you to thrive online. So thank you so much for tuning in. Let's begin. Hello. I am back with another episode from my car. And it is such a vibe. I have to admit. Now, for those of you who have listened to this podcast for a while and who have at least listened to the past 5 episodes, even if you haven't listened to each one, if you have listened to at least one of the past 5, you would have known how much noises in my home office from the neighbors and surroundings drive me nuts. You've heard me gripe about the dogs. You've heard me gripe about dogs on my Instagram stories. Yeah, but that's not the reason why I'm coming from the car. Is I just discovered that this is so doable for me. And I mean, in the year of 2020, there'll still be some noises, but in the year of 2020, when we just have to pivot so much and adapt so much and find new ways to do certain things, it's more than just the noises why the car is such a vibe for me. And I hope this helps you. If you're considering creating any piece of content, it could be a podcast, YouTube, writing, find a happy medium of what's going to work for you from a strategic perspective and what you actually enjoy doing and what is actually feasible for you. For me, podcasting these days, because, if you've been with me for a while, follow me, via this podcast and via Instagram stories, because that's where I hang out the most. I'm kind of ghosted my feed just a tad. But you would know, I lost my train of thought. But you would know that, right, I remember. My point was, I've been podcasting a lot more because it's just the most low maintenance thing, even though it's not the best strategically. But, I can always come back, revisit these podcasts and repurpose the information. So it's not it's all lost. And I know there are those of you who are listening, and I see my podcast rank from week to week. So it's not all lost, but I know where my energies should really be. But my energies aren't there because I just don't have the time, circumstances, and we all have, these things that we're going through. And if you are a mom like myself, and you don't even have to be a mom either, but let me just speak to the moms for a minute and the parents, because I actually have a person on my team who is not a mom, right, but a father, and we can definitely relate to each other as being in similar fields and working from home and with kids and just dealing with the pandemic. It's overall overwhelming. And I know I'm starting to ramble a bit, but I'm going to reel it back in. The lesson here is just create content, make the time to create content, but make it work for you. Don't let it stress you out. And this kind of also is going to tie into what I felt called to share with you all today, which is the tips on creating content, but not for your usual thing, right? Which is, every time people think content, they think social media. No, I'm going to talk about a huge monster, which is a monster for some people, right? But when I call it a monster, it's not to scare you, but it seems to be a bit of a mammoth exercise working with clients. And this is something that I have observed for all of my time doing web design, so years. And the biggest challenge for clients, in all of the homework that I give them, right? I should actually slip in a bit of a review on the homework and how people really see, like, it might seem like it's a lot, but it's very well worth it because it helps you. It's like you get a website, or you get your branding, or you get whatever it is you came to me for, but you get so much more than that. You get a little bit of a mini business coach because everything is strategic. That is what happens when you don't just go to somebody who is like a creative, but is also a strategist in what they do, because you get something that is strategic based on your business and your needs, right? And I mean, that's branding overall, right? For those of you who have been with me for a while, I haven't referred to myself as this often, but if I'm the branding queen, I specialize in branding, which essentially is business strategy, then it only makes sense that you are going to get a bit of coaching, and you have to get down and do the work, right? And this work, when you go through it and you get down in the trenches and you do the work and you come out on the other side, you really see why you had to do these things, why you had to answer these questions, why you needed to know these things about your business. Because if you don't know, who's gonna know? I'm not gonna know, right? Like, people have this misconception that they're gonna go to this person to get X done for their business, but at the end of the day, you are the CEO of your business. So nobody's supposed to be clearer on their business than you. And the thing is, okay, let's take, for example, like a coach, right? Let me clarify. Like, yes, this person might be a business coach, but what I mean by you need to have the clarity is that even though you might not have the clarity coming to this coach, like you're coming to this coach to give you the clarity, but this coach or mentor or whoever you're working with, strategist, right, as the safest word I should use here, they should be able to help you get that clarity. So that's why you have to answer these questions. The coach or the strategist can't answer those questions for you. You have to take that moment and do that work and talk to your audience and really start being that CEO in your business and sit back and be like that visionary, because your business starts with your vision. When you started your business and you went out there and you decided, I'm starting ABC Industries, it started from an idea, and that idea is a vision. So bringing that back into content creation for your website, this is usually the task that gives people a lot of challenges, and I completely understand why, and I'm completely patient once you're willing to do the work, right? I am a teacher at heart, and I want to help you complete what you need to complete. So while this is your homework, of course, as a teacher, I have to help you complete it, right? So when it comes to content creation for your website, you have two options. You hire a copywriter, right? So that's additional cost to hiring somebody to design and put the website together and lay it out and, think strategically of how things should go and how it should be placed and how it should be communicated. That is just the web design and development aspect. But the actual information that goes into it, you have to provide that, right? So whether you're DIYing your website or you're working with a web developer / web designer, you have to source the information known as copy for yourself, right? Now, some development companies can hire copywriters for you and you get a one-stop shop. But most times people tend to opt out of the copywriter because they just think, oh, additional cost. But if you can afford a copywriter, then definitely get some assistance with it. If you know someone, you have a friend who's willing to help you with it, let them help you. But I want to give you some really quick hacks on how you can DIY your own copy for your website, and this is part of content. So content is made up of two main components, right? Content is the information that you provide. Information comes in the format of pictures, imagery, graphics, and text. So if you are working with someone to design and develop your website, they're obviously going to take the information and they're going to help you with design and those elements, those graphic design elements. You don't have to worry about that. But you do have to provide them with the imagery, the images, and the information. So it's really two main things: pictures / imagery, and information, which is the text. Now, content comprises of two main things: your images, your wording, right? Imagery, first tip is organize a brand photo shoot once you can. If that is not an option, you can rely on stock photography. But if you are a personal brand, it's super, super important to get brand imagery for yourself, for your brand. People need to see your face because that's personal branding. They need to get personal with you. They need to see your face. And I'm not going to get into trying to DIY that. That's a whole other topic. And that is something I feel that needs to be a little more tutorial based, a little more video based, where like I probably get into equipment, how you can set up like your own photo shoot at home. Like I have done this, right? I have done this for myself, and I've done the brand photo shoot route. I actually coordinate brand photo shoots for my clients as well. So I know a thing or two about brand photo shoots. And I mean, after all, I am a brand strategist, so I gotta know photography, right? So you need to have great photography, because photography is so critical when it comes to your content, whether it's social media or your website. Any platform that's super visual, you need to have great visuals. Makes sense, right? So you want to make sure that you have visuals and imagery that is on brand, that is consistent, that is cohesive. And sometimes you can't slap a filter on certain photos, but you can't put makeup on a pig, okay? You just can't. So if you have imagery that is very poor quality, right? So let me clarify. When I meant pig, that's an analogy for low quality. Not to mean that you're ugly or your photos are ugly. It just means that you just can't make something, that's not good quality better, or even great and awesome and amazing. And you want to create high quality things in your business and your brand, right? It says a lot about you. It says a lot about your business, how you do business. Like how you do one thing is how you do everything, right? Hey guys, this is just a quick break in the show to remind you to share this podcast and leave a review. When you leave a review on the podcast, it helps the podcast to grow and reach new audiences. So I'd really appreciate if you can head on over to your podcasting app and head over to the review section, leave a quick review, and I'll greatly appreciate it. Now let's get back to the show. So please, nothing is wrong with DIY, but please ditch low quality imagery. Ditch the selfies, okay, that you just took randomly. Do not go into like old photos from before you started business and think, hey, I can use this. All right. You might be, if it was like a good photo in terms of like the pose, the clothing you wore, the setting that it was set in, the lighting. Again, quality of photo means the resolution. If it's low res, dark lighting, you can't use that for your website. So please stop it. All right. Please do not do it. All right. So that is some quick tips on the photography. Now, when it comes to the info, I've noticed This is where the client face, I get an energy, even if I can't see your face, I get the energy of you've gone blank. And it's the same sort of struggle/challenge that social media managers have with clients when they're trying to help them with their social media, because it's as though we're supposed to pull the content out of thin air, right? Content creation and social media management are connected, but it's separate, because what you're posting on social media has to be created and curated. So same thing with your website, right? You need to get very, very clear on what you are in business for. It might seem super like duh, but no. You have to be really clear on the purpose that you serve. And these are all things that I cover in my brand strategy sessions, that I cover in my basic to branded workbook. And there's even a section in the workbook that leaves space for you to start really brainstorming and thinking about the info for your website. And there's a section called Websites That Sell, right? And even before getting to that section, the very beginning of the workbook, we cover things like your ideal client, your brand analysis, and your brand discovery. All of those things are going to help you realize what's your purpose with your website, right? All of these questions, or everything that you're going to ask yourself about your website, are all extensions of the question. So for example, what's the purpose of your website is an extension of what's the purpose of my business. Who do I serve is a question that will fall under who is my ideal client. When you know who your ideal client is, you can provide them with the information that they need, right? The whole purpose of content, whether it's on social media or on your website, is to help give the reader enough information to help them make a decision, or at least warm them up to get them interested to reach out to you, to help them decide if you can help them and if they want you to help them with their problem. So what is the problem that you solve? So if you're not clear on the problem that you solve, you can't even speak to their needs. So that's something to think about, right? So those are some quick strategy sessions. I can go on and on about this. It could be a whole hour if I really was to go and explore this more thoroughly. But in the essence of time, we're going to move on to the other part, which is how to know when is enough. How to know when is enough. Because sometimes I tell people, in the past, like this year, I have thank God I've been working with dream clients, and I'm so grateful and I'm so thankful to work with people who not only pay me what my price is without complaining, right? Because they see the value in what I provide. But it's also people who I enjoy working with. That's a super, super important component. Not just for myself, but it should be an important component for every service-based business owner, because it's a lot more intimate when you're providing a service for someone versus something that's a lot more transactional, which is, here, I want this product, here you go, buy, right? So make sure that you have that on your list of non-negotiables, because your ideal client and the people who you decide to work with, it's really like nurturing a relationship and getting into a relationship with someone. So back to giving people the actual text to write. Sometimes people just came back with lazily written, well, not even lazily written, but lazily submitted information where it's like, this isn't enough. It's so short. And it's not about the length. It's not about short or long. But if it's too short, obviously you are not putting out enough information or providing enough information that's going to compel anybody to buy from you. So when people say their websites aren't selling, maybe it's because you haven't given anybody a reason to buy. Maybe they leave the website with more questions than answers, right? Maybe you're not speaking the reader's language. So let's say this person is your ideal client, but they're not buying. You're not speaking their language. You're not resonating with them because you probably haven't done the research to understand who you're speaking to. 2, if people aren't buying from you, they're probably not your ideal client, which is a good thing. So you actually are doing something good in your copy. You're saying something that is triggering them in a not so good way, or it's not really triggering them, but something's not resonating. So they're probably not even triggered. They probably don't feel any type of way, and they're leaving the website and they're looking for what they're looking for, and you don't have that because that's not your people, or it's probably not what you provide. It's probably not your niche. So you really should get really clear on your niche. Now, once you have again, this is a quick and dirty hacks, right? I can't go into too deep because, again, like I said, it could get really long, and this isn't a masterclass. This is a podcast to give you some quick tips on all things that I am an expert at and I provide in my business, right? So, I mean, this is me also trying to control myself because sometimes I get really carried away in providing value and making sure that what I'm saying is thorough enough to make sense. But yeah, so I'm working on that, right? So moving right along is organizing that information, right? So you've worked out the content, you have a decent body of information. Quick tip, if you're working with me, even if you're a little stuck on your what you're writing or the information to provide, I always encourage clients, just write. Don't overthink it. Don't stick on it. Just write whatever comes to mind. Write as much information as that you think is possible, because when you're working with me, even if it's too much, I'm going to cut it down. I'm going to summarize it because I have enough meat that I can condense it and refine the messaging so that it makes sense. I'm not a copywriter, but I am a brand strategist, and I will be able to see and tell that this is too much. Let's make it more concise, because there's also this saying that if you can't explain certain things quickly, concisely, or within a few sentences, then you probably aren't the expert on, like, you're really not clear on what you actually do. So you're all over the place and etc. But again, it's okay. I will always come back and help you refine that, but I need enough to work with, and there's no such thing as too much when it comes to refining, right? This is the brainstorming aspect of it. I'm not gonna literally take that and place it in the website. And if you're DIYing your website, you shouldn't either. Right. Come back and just cut it down and cut it down. So here's my next quick tip in terms of wondering, do I have enough information? Look at other websites. Look at websites not only in your field, but also look at websites that's not in your field. So for example, you might be, off the top of my head, you might be a fitness coach, but you can look at websites of somebody who is a dog trainer, right? But you can look at, but it falls in the category of service-based businesses. But you don't have to only look at websites within your particular field, right? So I wanted to use that analogy. So your field is training, fitness, but it's a service. And dog training is also a service. So you could look at other, but they're both services. So look at websites in the service-based industry that basically you think, meets your goals and expectations for what you want your website to do, right? They tend to have their website organized into pages that I want to include: home, about, portfolio, You might want to take a look at the application page, like what is the customer journey like when they click here, where does it take them? Does this person's website has a quiz? Or I think I'd like to have a quiz too. This is why it's good to look at other websites and a diverse range. So I would give you tips to go on Pinterest and look at least 5 to 7 websites. All right, you can look at less, but no less than 3, and I think 3 is just not enough range. You can look at 5 to 7 and narrow it down to 3 to 5 as your go-tos, and identify the website's features that you like, and don't just like copy it. Right, this is the point, is inspiration and helping you get clarity to identify what you like, and not just what you like, but how can this benefit your website. So you might see a quiz, and it might just get the creative mind going in terms of your juices, and like, okay, I think I want to do a PDF that's a checklist, or I want to do a PDF that's a little bit of like a 30-day challenge or a 7-day challenge to help somebody have a quick win. Or you might decide, you know what, I don't want to do the PDF, I want to do a quick little quiz that's going to help them have a quick win. By the end of that quiz, they're going to help realize something, and obviously that realization should help them realize that they either need your service or which one of your services that they need, etc., etc. So I know it can become overwhelming, but these are a lot of the things that you can think about when you start thinking about what my website needs. And again, this is just scratching the surface. There are so many other aspects to building a website than just like the visuals. It really must be something that is functional, because if you want your website for you to do a lot of the heavy lifting and be able to be that 24-hour 24/7 employee, you have to put all of the processes and the logistics, all of the systems, you have to anticipate so much and build it into the website. Because once you do that, you're like, from the time you're automating anything, there's a lot of upfront work, but it's worth it. Oh my gosh, my throat is getting dry. I need to take a sip. Right. So it's completely worth it, because you do all of this upfront work so that it takes work off of your plate. Right? So I hope you enjoyed these tips and you got a lot of value, but I really have to stop myself because I will start to go into a whole bunch of other tips, but I'm pretty sure this is enough here to get you started. But if you want more of this, where this came from, give me some kind of indication that this was like really super helpful, because this also helps me, do my own market research into the type of content, topics that I explore, and what my audience really needs. So it might come through in the podcast, it might come through as a masterclass, a free training, a YouTube video where I have more visual aids to assist you with. It could be a template that I decide that I want to share for free or at a cost. It could go either way. And when I say template, I know not website templates, but it could be something that goes with the website template. Anyway, the point is, long story short, that when you help me, you allow me to also help you further. So please don't be shy and give me some sort of indication. You can do the usual, as I always ask every week, which is to screenshot and share this podcast and just put like a little sentence saying what was your biggest takeaway. You can leave a review, right? Because that also gives you this space to express how this podcast helps you and how this episode helped you. And of course, to make life super simple and super easy and to not miss out on any updates and any future episodes, click subscribe on your favorite podcasting app, the app that you're listening to right now. Subscribe And another way that you can also ensure that you don't miss any updates is to join my VIP list, which is cassiamarina.me/VIP list. I will link to it in the show notes below so you can subscribe, and that way you don't miss out on any episodes when they go live. All right, so that is it for today. I am going to talk to you again soon. Bye. You just listened to Tea Time with Cassia Marina. Up next is the finale of Tea Time and an announcement. Exciting things are on the horizon. Stay tuned. The finale is up next.